contempt, rage, anger. I mean, I know that's the enemy. I mean, that's the enemy. That's an enemy banker occupation force, just like Chinese troops or Russian troops walking down my street. I mean, that's Red Dawn, federal banker government trying to grab my wife. It gets me hotter than a pistol. God bless you. I want to get Bob Chapman's take on that. Well said, man. Bob, I mean, how do you handle it? Because, I mean, I'm getting to the point where I have just got real anger problems.
Well, you're not as old as I am, so you don't get the anger problems, but which I don't. You know, you don't argue, you defeat them. And that's what we have to figure out to do. And her experience, the young lady who called in on the night train to Berlin, and I know that train very well, that was, you know, par for the course. And that's what you're going to see in America. Sir, give me your papers, please. That sort of thing.
They don't even say please. Like they want you to know you're scum.
Well, some do, some don't. But it all depends on whether you are a foreigner or not. They're usually a little bit more lax with foreigners. But you're going to see that in America. You're going to be a foreigner in America. It's going to be dreadful. And we have to do what you're talking about.
Yeah, well, I can't handle them messing with my family. And you know, that's going to happen. More and more people are just not going to put up with it, Bob.
Well, that's why gun sales keep on going up. Not that that's the final answer, but people are frightened.
God, Ron Paul came out and said that. Oh, I'm not looking for trouble either. But I mean, you know, I cannot handle this, and I just know they work for a murdering, narcotics trafficking, banker occupation government. I mean, our country's been hijacked by criminals. I know they're the bad guys, and I don't care what amount of baloney the minions of this system fill their brains with. I'm right and they're wrong, and that's the end of it. I mean, let's go ahead and talk to Noel in Illinois. You're on the air, Noel. Welcome.
Alejandro and Roberto, always good to speak with you. Number one, last Friday, I'm at Union Station in Chicago, and I'm in line to get a train ticket, and I see a TSA agent at Union Station in Chicago. Unfortunately, I couldn't film it or, you know, go up to him and ask him questions because I was in a huge line, and I would have been late to my train. My girlfriend would have been upset. But anyone in the Chicagoland area, please get your cameras, go to Union Station.
No, they're on highway checkpoints. I mean, it's on the news. They drag families out and do the groping now. I mean, it's like it's a religion of submitting to their pervert behavior.
I want to be quick. I have a source. I'm naming the source Pat, just like the SNL character, like Big Sis Napolitano. You're not going to know if it's a man or a woman. But, you know, we have the War Criminals Summit coming up in Chicago in May. And, you know, I've been following that a lot. I actually predicted that would happen about a year ago before news even broke that we would have that because the sugar daddy, Rahm Emanuel, is...
Wait a minute, I don't remember you now. I remember you called in and said, since sugar daddy's been elected, I predict the next G20 is going to be here, but it's G20 and NATO.
Yeah, G8 NATO. I knew something was going to happen because Rahm Emanuel, like he said, don't let a good crisis go to waste. Now, I have a source, and I'm in the works of talking with Pat, my source. You're not going to know if it's a woman or a man.
I know. Tell us.
What my source is telling me is that the Chicago Police Department, as well as other security sources, it's already a national security event, are setting up for mass arrest, setting up for riot officers to be on the streets of Chicago using high-grade military pepper spray, weapons, etc., getting set for, you know, like we see in Montebello, Toronto.
Oh, no, that's already admitted, sir. No. It's sound cannons, microwave guns, everything. It's about a big party attacking the American people and anywhere else these parasites meet. Let's get Bob's take on that. More calls straight ahead. Okay, I'm going to do a 5 minutes overdrive or so we can get to everybody that's holding, like Richard in Texas, listening on XM Channel 166. Chip, Freedom Lover, Michael. I'll try to get to Austin. Bob Chapman's our guest. They're coming out with a new aspartame that's I guess what's left over from these E. coli, calling it Neotame. And now the FDA is announcing you will not be allowed to know on labels if it's in your food. That's the new thing. They don't want you to know it's GMO. Oh, you stop buying it? We just won't label it. This is the FDA we've all been taught to worship. I mean, almost the entire FDA is former Monsanto. And then they go back into Monsanto and go up the carousel of getting paid more money. I mean, it is just, we're going to cover this on the Nightly News tonight. Bob Chapman, again, we always knew this would happen, but by forcing pressure onto the tyrants, people are like, well, they're going to get us. That's the whole point. Make them go from creeping around to coming out in the open, and it's working. I mean, they are just across the board. Oh, you don't want shots? We'll make it the law. You don't want fluoride? We'll make it the law. You don't want aspartame? We'll put it in your food and not tell you. I mean, they are really showing us what they are, aren't they, Bob?
They certainly are. And I'm afraid you're going to see far more of that in other preparations that people don't want to have or eat. And it's going to force people toward all-natural food if they can get it. And next they'll be going out to the gardens. I think I've told you before, my daughter produces 80% of what they eat in a little garden, and like 18 eggs a week, and they get rabbits, and they live in the city. And so you got to think about those things.
Bob, they're already going after gardens everywhere, bro. They're saying you got to pay a fee to have one. You got to have inspections to make sure you're not growing drugs preemptively because you're guilty until proven slave in America.
No, it's true.
Just total scum. I mean, it's like Stalin banned people having gardens, Bob.
That's right.
I mean, it's the same thing.
They did during that epic, and they survived because of it. I don't know whether they charged them for the gardens or forbid them.
Well, no, first, well, you're right. First, they banned them, especially in the Ukraine. And then the commies couldn't even get food, so they said, you're allowed one small area and pay us a fee. Yes, that's how it works. That's why most of the 60-plus million died under Mao. It's on record. He wouldn't let them have their own gardens. You know about that. This is standard commie takeover. Commies don't let prisoners grow food. You don't grow fruit in land of the free, home of the brave. What do you think, you grow food in America? Did Monsanto poison? What do you... Oh, man, you think you're in a free country? We're going to stick our hands down your pants at the airport. That's freedom. Yeah, put you in a microwave oven, too. Oh, so good, so liberal. Chip in New Mexico, you're on the air. Welcome.
Hi, Alex. It's good to talk to you. Thank you for allowing me to get on. I'd like to tell you a little situation about going on over here in New Mexico. There's a gun store in Deming, New Mexico that was raided by the ATF and all the different agencies. I'm personally friends with the family, and I'm working with the mother of the owner.
What, the family didn't ship guns to narcotics traffickers, so they're in trouble?
Well, apparently they've been doing this thing. I believe it's a spinoff of Fast and Furious. Anyway, I've been working to try to free these people, help free these people. And I'm.
What are they charging them with at the gun shop?
Oh, they have they've stacked charges. Like there's 30 charges, 40 charges, all kinds of stuff. But everybody they sold guns to passed the background check. And
no, I know now. No, they take gun dealers to jail now for not dotting an I. I mean, I've actually seen it. They sit there at big gun ranges, and every once in a while a semi-auto rifle will have a mistake and fire two. And they won't clap you in irons, admit it's an accident, you're gone 10 years. Send me info to tips@infowars.com. But what town did this happen? What's the family's name?
The family's name is it's the Reese family out of Deming, New Mexico, and I have the phone number for the mother if you'd like to do an interview with her.
Okay, we'll put you on hold and get it. We're going to jam in a few more phone calls here, but look at these headlines at drudgereport.com and infowars.com. Big Sis taps hot dog sellers at Super Bowl to look for terrorists. UN wants world tax to help the poor. Congress calls for accelerated use of drones in USA. Iran warns world of coming great event. Israel could strike this spring. Can hit all of Iran's nuclear facilities. Hackers intercept FBI Scotland Yard calls. I mean, it is getting crazy. Roseanne Barr's on next week. She's announcing she's running for president. She's a listener of the show. Hi, Roseanne. All right, and I'll be back tonight. I want to jam in a few more calls, but make no mistake, the world is getting mooey crazy. Yeah, when the bullet hits the bone. Freedom Lover in Florida, you're on the air. Welcome.
Hi, Alex. I wanted to, with your permission, I had an email exchange with one of your frequent guests, and I wanted to get your take on what he had to say to the questions that I asked him. In short, I asked him if there was a coalition of, good people that have influence, backed by good members of the military and police, what he, if he actually thought the republic, whether it could be restored to what it used to be. And with your permission, I'd like to let you know. Well,
sure. I mean, I don't even know if the person said this or who it is. You can send it to me, but I mean, and so what did the person say about that?
That the globalists are right on schedule with what they're doing, that the public has adapted to the changes that have already taken place, and they're living the double think of being global and still being a republic.
Well, I mean, we have a lot of guests on who get pessimistic, and I understand why, but we're actually having great strides against tyranny, and I've proven that I know what I'm talking about. So, I mean, I don't agree with everything that my guests say. A lot of guests I have on I disagree with, but just that verbiage, who is that, Alan Watt?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I mean, Alan's really studied their writings. You can see and the globalists are very arrogant and very confident. And I mean, Alan's a really smart guy, but I think at a subconscious level, people kind of just see the master plan and think, how will the general public defeat this? It's not going to be the general public that's going to defeat it. And so it is a tough road we fight, but I mean, you can't just roll over to it. So, I've had discussions with Alan about that. I could tell sounds like something he'd say. But I mean, let's get Bob Chapman's take on that. Bob?
Well, first of all, that's an incredible answer. I don't know how you picked that out. But anyway, you have to compartmentalize what's going on, and then you have to put it all together. And most people don't have time to do that. And there's always, in the background, things that very, very bright people refuse to deal with, things that they don't like.
Well, I think part of it is I have a semi-photographic memory. It used to be photographic. So I have heard that person say things word for word. That's how I knew. It's not very hard, actually, when you know it. But, I mean, I could see that's his view that, it's very hard to beat them. I agree with it in a way. But yeah, I mean, look, we don't have a choice, but it's a mind game. You will defeat them if you believe you can and take action. It's not enough to have faith. Faith and action, that's what wins any war. Bob Chapman.
I think you're absolutely right. And you keep on grinding and grinding and grinding and refusing to accept defeat, because defeat is death in this case. And so there's a lot of people that don't want to go beyond a certain level, and there's a lot of reasons why. And that's okay, because they can take it to a level, and there's higher levels that I handle, like people like yourself and myself who don't have those, we'll call them hang-ups or problems.
Well, look, I mean,
there's a lot to this thing. It just isn't spotting these people and telling them what they're doing. You got to tell them their history and why they're doing it, and you do that.
All right. Well, Bob Chapman, thank you so much. TheInternationalForecaster.com. We'll talk to you again next week, my friend.
I see you then. Bye-bye.
Thank you, my friend.